that your guardian angel has such a connection with God. And your guardian angel is, I love this part, is really the boss because it's the gatekeeper of your soul.
Hello, hello, USU family. I am grinning ear to ear. I feel like my heart is grinning. I am so happy, so excited to be here in this conversation with you, Lorna. Lorna Byrne is an author. She wrote the book Angels in My Hair, which has been transformative for millions of us. I'll just say for me, I actually listened to your book. I kept hearing, you must bring her on your podcast. I must connect with you. We must talk about this. So it is just such an honor. I'm so thankful you're here, Lorna. And we set the intention. This conversation will be blessing everybody. Thank you for showing up from Ireland.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me on your show. And I'm just really looking forward to chatting with you, and I know everything is in God's hands and the angels and even the hands of the souls of our loved ones as well.
It's beautiful. I think for those who may not know you or your story yet, we're going to have all the links, by the way, because I'm just going to say, if you have not read, Lorna has more than one book. I will say Angels in My Hair for me was a heart opener, game changer. We're going to have all the links as well. And we'll be talking about your beautiful sanctuary. But for those who maybe are not as familiar with you, can we talk a little bit about your gifts and how early they started? Because I think this will help set the scene for obviously more of what's happening today.
And that is a beautiful question. I always say from the moment I opened my eyes, I have been seeing angels physically as I see you on the screen, but I don't see your guardian angel, by the way, on the screen. That rarely happens. But, as an infant lying in my cot, I was always trying to reach up to touch them, to play with them, especially when my mom would be sometimes, tucking the blankets in around you, what moms do and all of that. And say when I was about, I think maybe roughly 2.5 years of age, and I was playing with my brother. But there was lots I didn't know about my brother. I'm skipping a lot of the story, it was normal for me. But the angels were always reminding me to keep it a secret. And one day I was playing with my brother in front of the fire. And, we were playing with blocks my dad had made out of bits of wood. So I was having fun with my brother. And just for a moment, our hands touched. It was like as if his hand went into mine or mine went into his. And I laughed and sparks went everywhere. And there was just so much love. And it was at that time that the angels really insisted that I must keep everything a secret. But they told me something else. And what they told me was that my brother was a soul. He had died at 10 weeks. And yet he was older than me in his human appearance, playing with the little blocks my dad had made. And, just sometimes I would see him as an infant, like as a baby in my mom's arms, she's cuddling him. And she would be asleep. But you have to remember, I was so young. So I was to keep it a secret. And I didn't quite understand, but it all looked normal to me. I thought at that young age that everyone could see the angels. They were part of my family. I thought that in a sense, everyone could see my brother, part of my family in that way. So I kept it a secret all my life. The angels were constantly reminding me to keep it a secret, and how would I say, I'm dyslexic, severely dyslexic. So way back in Ireland at that time, if you had any difficulties in learning, the way man thinks you should learn, you were considered retarded, and that's what I was branded. So you were put in the back of the class, no one bothered with you, and in a sense, really not even your parents, in the way that they should have had. But I have to tell you, I've had the best teachers in the world and the best friends, the angels. They have taught me everything I know. And that's how the books have come about. You know, that's how come I'm talking here with you now on your show. And I would just say to everyone out there to remember that you have a guardian angel. It's a gift from God, and why would you throw that gift away? Why would you ignore it? And the other thing, because people ask this all the time, you know, everyone has a soul, the spark of light of God. You have, no matter what you think. And you are loved unconditionally by God, but by your guardian angel. That's one thing I love about the guardian angel. It never judges you in any way. It just loves you actually unconditionally. It doesn't matter what wonderful things you do in the world or how many mistakes you make or anything you do wrong. It doesn't judge you in any way. It loves you unconditionally. And to me, I've just had an ordinary life like everybody else. I don't know why I can see the angels physically, why God has allowed that. But to me, you should be able to too. I'm human. I have a soul just like you. I have a guardian angel just like you. So why can't you as well? I'm always asking God that question.
I think a lot of us listening to you are asking that question. I do want to come back to, I have quite a few questions. We'll get into guardian angels and talking more about what the angels are. I wanted to, first of all, thank you for sharing that. I remember when in your story, in your book, I believe your brother was named, was it Christopher was his name?
Yeah.
And just this, I don't want to give it all away because it's so, I mean, I couldn't put this down. I took so many walks. My steps went up so much during the few weeks I was listening. I mean, I would just go out and tell my husband, I got to go just take a walk and listen. I have to hear what's happening next. And you mentioned, that you were developmentally delayed. You struggled with dyslexia. And I know you would mention in the book that people were kind of branded you as really not going to be able to, you didn't finish school. One of the stories I remember, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you have this angel, I believe it's Hosis is his.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm wondering, because there's this story when you were in school and it was like the teacher completely, I got so angry, like he overlooked you. And then it was at the very end. When this angel that is with you, you could see the angel like completely solid, like human beings. Maybe can you share that experience, but also having, for example, that's one of many, what that was like to have, it felt like a friend that wasn't really imaginary, but no one else could see.
Yes, and Angel Hostess is still around, by the way, as well. I see him quite a lot, but especially when I was a child, sometimes in the classroom he would mimic the teacher, and of course I would laugh and I'd get into trouble. The teacher would get annoyed. But many times as well, something that's not in the book is, sometimes in the schoolyard I'd have no one to play with. And Angel Hostess would play with me. There was this big, huge tree in the schoolyard, in the corner, and, the wall around it. And sometimes he would just peep out from behind the tree, and tell me to come and find him. And of course I would run around the tree and he'd be gone, in that way. And then when I would be out the front, he'd peep back around again, So Angel Hostess was and is, he's like this professor, and he always has this funny shaped hat on him. And he's dressed like one, but he does have this lovely cloak. I call it a cloak. I don't know whether you'd call it a robe in modern days or whatever. And it would clip at the top. And but sometimes the colour of it changes. And that's one thing I always loved. It could go from purple to gold to black to red, but those colours are different than our human colours. Um, so angel houses, I have to say, loads of people call on angel houses all around the world, and especially those that are trying to learn something or to study. And I did love when the book Angels in My Hair came out. I met a lot of students from college. They were already in university, and they would just say, Lorna, if you can do it, we can. It gave such great encouragement. And I know, how would I say, the angels would always say to me when I would hear someone saying something negative about me, you know, they would always say they know no better. And I got to understand the meaning of those words and and to love them even more. So it shouldn't bother anyone really what someone else thinks of them. you know, it's really important to be you, to be yourself, and to know that whatever you want to do, you're doing it in your perfect way. I can't do things the way everyone else does them. It does not work because I'm severely dyslexic. And I'm severely dyslexic right across the board. It's not just in one thing. So sometimes I'll actually say something backwards or have to stop in mid sentence, and switch it around a bit. Because I would, what would I say, cop it in that way. So, and then I can't pronounce all words either. There's no point in even trying. But one thing that God and the angels have just taught me, and I always felt their words were really strong when they would say to me, even when I was married, with my own children, you know, they know no better. Those words were very powerful to me. So I just thank God and the angels for the education they have given me. And by the way, they're still giving me knowledge and wisdom all the time. I'm still learning. It
Wow.
never stops.
Yeah. When you talk about knowing no better, to me, what comes through is this unconditional love and forgiveness. And I think this is something we're seeing play out in the world, right? Is how do we really forgive? I'm a big fan of A Course in Miracles as well. And the whole point is that forgiveness at a deeper level of understanding, as you said, Lorna, that, not only they know no better, it's not even personal, like just when I've listened to you on other interviews and what came through to me is, wow, you've really connected into unconditional love and compassion and for everyone. And it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring.
Yeah, I believe though everyone can,
Yeah.
and the first thing you have to do is love yourself. You're number one, because, even in the holy books in the world, God has said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But you can't love your neighbor any more than you love yourself. So if you're full of anger and hate and bitterness, or you're lacking in forgiveness for yourself and others, then how can you put love out into the world? How can you show compassion and hope? And I'm always saying one thing the angels have always taught me, and God has, you know, and that is you can't go into any shop and buy hope. You can't go in and buy love. It's not for sale, or compassion or empathy. All those words, peace, you name them. We call them out all of the time. And the world is looking for those now. but you possess them because you have a soul, that spark of light of God. And again, because you have a guardian angel, we can be better. Like, that's one thing Archangel Michael was always, how would I say, telling me I can do it. You can be better all of the time. And, you know, it is to be better and to believe in yourself. You know, it's like I would have as a child, because my dad would often bring home little animals that were hurt. So I would have to make up something for them to sleep in, you know, a little box or something. So I learned very quick how to use a hammer and nail, and how to use there used to be other little things that were crooked. They weren't nails, but I could join a piece of wood together, or I could make something out of leaves in that way. And I would make them the best I could. I would never I would never have thought of comparing what I do with something else that someone else does in that way. And that's another thing that the angels always taught me. Again, just to be me, and I can't be anything else. And even when Archangel Michael, when I was married before my husband Joe died, you know, I always remember that day. I always tell this story because, how would I say, it makes me smile and it makes me sad. When Archangel Michael, came up behind me when I was pushing my daughter home in her pram and she was asleep. And he just called me and said, I have a message from God for you. And I remember, you know, pushing the pram and getting annoyed and stopping and holding the bar of the pram, you know, the handlebars, and turning and looking at him and just saying, what does God want? Because I was too busy. You know, I was a mom. What's God doing annoying me? What's the message? You know, and he just said, you know, it's getting near time for you to write. And I can remember, you know, looking at him. And Archangel Michael is a beautiful angel and so gentle and kind, but yet so, how would I say, strong and firm in human words, you know, and just saying, I can't even read or write. I couldn't even write my name, you know, so how on earth was God expecting me to write a book? You know, one book. And again, the angels were always reminding me, as Archangel Michael did that day, and said, you know, the books would become bestsellers. They'd go across the world. But being a young mom with children, you know, this was a crazy idea as far as I was concerned. And, you know, a lot of time had passed even at that time, and I was always saying no to God, you know, because again, I was afraid of being ridiculed and laughed at, you know, and I had said this to the angels many times, but technology came in, you know, technology came in, and that's what made all the difference. That's what, how would I say, when my husband Joe had died, you know, I just said to someone I had known, I'm going to write. And they knew I couldn't read or write. But yet they listened to God and their guardian angel, you know. And then one day I get a knock on the door, and this person just said, I just dropped in to say hello to see how you're doing. And I remember making him a cup of tea, and then he went outside and he carries in this box and puts it on the table. And I think it was 2 or 3 boxes. And he said then he had to go. That's for you. And I remember looking around the room, and the room was full of angels, and opening the box and seeing this computer and a printer and a smaller little box with dragon net in it. And I just said to God, how on earth do you expect me to use a computer? This, and it must have cost the man a fortune because it was, I think, one of the very popular computers. And at that time, they were much heavier. I actually have it here beside me.
Oh, wow.
It's right here. I'm going to try and get it working again if there's anyone out there that knows how to fix these things up. Because it's the very first one I used. And again, it was like just miracles kept happening. When I said it to someone else and I told someone else I had this computer and I hadn't the faintest idea. And again, this husband and wife said, they'd set it up for me. And they knew I couldn't read or write. I told them I was dyslexic. And they'd done it in a way I only had to press one or two buttons. And that was it. It worked. which was great. And nowadays with modern things, I find them harder to use now. That's why I'd love the old one fixed up. It was so easy. Um, but yes, it's again to recognize that you're not just a human being, you're a spiritual being as well. You have a soul and a guardian angel, and you're capable of love. And you deserve love as well. You deserve hope. You deserve understanding, compassion. You deserve all of the wonderful things of the world. And we deserve to be, in a sense, embraced by the world, embraced by other human beings, but by nature as well. And I'm always telling people, the angels taught me everything out in nature. I've had people say to me, Lorna, how do you know all of this about nature? But they taught me everything. They have been the best teachers, my best friends, best companions. They're with me all of the time. And sometimes I tell the angels to go away and leave me alone. But they don't go very far, I'm afraid.
Oh my goodness. I love your story. I love this story for a few reasons, Lorna. And I think for anyone listening, sometimes a task can seem daunting. It can seem our brain kicks in, our ego kicks in. How is this going to happen? I can't do this, right? You're a great example, dyslexic, can't read and write. It would be very easy to say it's not going to happen. And then to watch the miracles unfold. Someone brings you this computer, you have the couple that helps you create an easy one or two buttons to press. It illuminates for all of us, right? That, and this is actually the point with, for my show being your U.S. you were saying it's honoring and loving yourself enough, knowing you're worthy, knowing you're part of the divine, and that these gifts will manifest. They do manifest when we, in some ways get ourselves out of the way. I love this story so much from you. And I know you live your life like this. I would love to talk, because you've mentioned it a few times, about our guardian angels, like to really get into this, because sometimes I'll hear questions for my own. And one of the questions is, can you both explain what you see, how you understand our guardian angels? And for those of us, so I don't think I can see it. I can sometimes feel that energy. What can we do, those of us who can't yet see them? What have you learned, or perhaps from the angels? How can we all start to connect in to our guardian angels and really build a relationship?
I think the first thing you do is say to yourself, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But to start to believe that you have a guardian angel, and start to become conscious of it, but you have a guardian angel, right? I haven't seen any human being without a guardian angel, and I've been traveling all over the world. And to me, that is incredible, because if you have a guardian angel, you have a soul. So to me, that is wonderful. I believe that everyone eventually in the world will be able to see their guardian angel. It's like a mother in the future will be able to say to their children's guardian angel, I'm going outside to, let's say, to go to the shops, keep an eye on my children. And I was smiling and laughing when I was being shown this vision of the future. And I just said to Archangel Michael, oh yes, they'll have free babysitters.
Yeah, that would have been amazing 15 years
And
ago.
that would be amazing. But I think at the moment it is, as you said, that you feel you have that contact with your guardian angel. Whether it is sometimes our guardian angel will give us signs, and that can be a feather, but it can be literally anything. In one sense, you could say you were given a sign now, or happened to be talking on a show. You could say to
Right.
all your listeners, it's a sign for them because they've actually tuned in to listen, to hear. The angels give us signs all of the time, and your guardian angel wants to teach you to respond to the guidance it gives you. And I think just one little mistake adults make, and that is, they're always asking, what does it mean? I would say, drop that. If my guardian angel said to me, Lorna, pick up your phone, I'd pick it up. I wouldn't say, what does it mean? I just pick it up and then I'd put it back down again, because I know my guardian angel is teaching me to respond when you're given guidance. It's like, when you have the feeling you should go left and you're out walking and you don't. Again, don't ask, well, why should I go left? Don't be lazy about it. Go left. You're just learning to respond to the guidance you're being given. Because one thing your guardian angel loves, and that is when you get so good at responding and you say to yourself, wow, I did that. Your guardian angel loves that. Your guardian angel doesn't want any praise. It wants you to feel good, you to feel happy. It wants you to feel fulfilled in every way. And, sometimes, your guardian angel might, sometimes people would say they'd feel a little breeze on their cheeks, or, they'd feel somebody touch their arm, and they'd know that touch is their guardian angel. But I love the way your guardian angel gives you signs as well. One is the feather, as I said, and sometimes it can be that you're stressed over something and, somebody rings you. Again, that can be a sign, that person ringing you just at the time you're stressed, so that you can listen to them, but you can share as well to help you. And I do love one that I often see during the summer and spring, where somebody has asked for flowers as a sign. But sometimes it's very hard for your guardian angel to get another adult to listen to their guardian angel to buy you a bunch of flowers. But children listen without a problem. A child will pluck a wild daisy, a wild buttercup, and run over to a stranger and hand it to them. And even sometimes a child will pick up a blade of grass or maybe a stone and hand it to a stranger. And most of the time, the stranger will say, oh, thank you, lovely little one, walk on, and then throw it away. You shouldn't do that. That was a gift for you, a sign for you to give you that courage and hope as well, and I do think that's very, very important. So I would always say, you have nothing to lose to believe that you have a guardian angel. Give it a go. What have you got to lose? Nothing.
I just want to share this really quickly. You've probably noticed that one of the most fast growing industries out there is the life coaching industry. I want to say something to you. Life coaching at its core, when you have the knowledge, the core competencies, the training, is sacred, powerful healing work. I got a certification and master's degree in coaching over 15 years ago, and it has changed my life, and it has changed hundreds of clients that I've worked with and the hundreds of students that I have taught. If you are feeling a soul nudge to do more to help others to unlock their potential, their highest potential, i.e. being your USU, and learn how to do that for yourself, I highly encourage you to consider my Intuitive Life Designer Coach Academy. It is a premier certification program. We're starting up again in January. Please go to juliereisler.com/certification. You can upload the program details. Let me know if you have questions. Everything is listed there. I would love to have you. If you're leaning in, if it's a soul yes, if you feel like you really want to do more to help people to stand into their highest calling, then I encourage you to look into the Intuitive Life Designer Coach program. You also can weave this in your work, in your industry now. I've had many lawyers and doctors and teachers, psychologists, other coaches that have done other programs, but felt they were missing the grounding, the integrity of the coaching program. You will have a practicum, mentor coaches, and we meet twice a week for 4 months with me as your coach and guide and mentor. And it would just be an honor to help you and to work with you on your journey to be your USU as an intuitive life designer coach. Again, go to juliereisler.com/certification. And again, if it's a soul yes, I'd be honored to guide you in this next 12th cohort. I love what you're saying. And I think what I'm hearing, Lorna, is first of all, we have to raise our antenna, our consciousness, our intention to say, okay, what the heck? Let's try it. Let's to be open. I'll just share really, really quickly because what I've noticed, and I don't always know, is it my guardian angel? Is it some other angelic realm? I don't know, but I will tell you, the more that I've been paying attention to these signs, I mean, it's really unbelievably beautiful. I've stopped saying it's crazy because I think many of us can be like, this is crazy. Now I'm like, this is unbelievably beautiful. I'll take pictures. I mean, I have a lot, I keep them in a place when I can, but it's almost, it's hard to even explain the feeling, although I know you get it. It really, it feels like I'm on this magical treasure hunt. I mean, I get them all the time now. In fact, when I was listening to you, I saw a white feather. I'm getting sweaty just talking about it. Literally, as I'm walking in the middle, I mean, it was just this white feather. This is one of the signs. And I was like, okay, we are definitely supposed to connect. I didn't know how. So I know that I don't see them like you, and we all can do this. Do you have any, this might be a weird question, but so there's, we have the archangels, right? Like Archangel Michael. We have, I would imagine, I don't know, like a whole band of different kinds of angels. Are guardian angels, were they ever humans? Are they completely from the angelic realm? Do you see them looking different? Do they all look like 15 feet? I don't know. I'm asking all these questions because I think for those of us that are like, what do they look like? Are they different for each person? Can you see everybody's? Like, can you share
Well,
whatever you like?
I will tell you, the guardian angel, just like all angels, are neither male nor female. They just do that for us. And they are this beautiful light, but they give a human appearance for something for us to recognize. And they don't always show wings, but when they do, it's incredible. And it's not always feathers. And angels' wings aren't like bird wings either. You know, but one thing you can remember is that your guardian angel will never ask you to do anything wrong. It'll never ask you to be bitter or mean or to hurt someone else or even to hurt something in nature. It'll always ask you to be kind. And I love that. So if you're not doing something loving or caring or kind, that's the human self. And I love the other thing is that your guardian angel has such a connection with God. And your guardian angel is, I love this part, is really the boss because it's the gatekeeper of your soul, and it allows other angels in and around you. But if it says no to another angel, the other angel will just step back. And that's even the same with an archangel. But, or even the same with the souls of loved ones, because your guardian angel is so connected to you. And I love that. And again, I would just say to you, you have nothing to lose. They are very beautiful. And if one day you feel your guardian angel is male, it's giving you that male strength of what we understand as human, and if you feel your guardian angel is female, again, it's giving you that feminine female strength of power, to believe in yourself again in that way. And I do love the way I see nowadays more and more men connecting to their guardian angel. And I love that because when Angels in My Hair came out first, it was mainly all women. But the last few years, you're seeing the change. And the world today is going through change. And I think we need more now than ever that spiritual divine connection to our souls, to the universe, to God. And it doesn't matter, I love the other thing is everyone has a guardian angel and it doesn't matter what they believe in. Isn't that incredible? Just think about that, and yet as human beings, we dislike others of other religions or other beliefs because sometimes we feel, what would you say, intimidated. But God is God and everyone has a guardian angel. So we're well able to show that hope, that love, that compassion. We're well able to, what would I say, take that next step forward. And I know there's lots of change happening in the world today, the election in America. I would say to the American people, and this is another part I love, get out there and vote. Don't be lazy about it. Get out there and vote. But I do love one thing, and that is the American gathering angels. They have gathered you. There was already Americans there, the Indians, the native people, but God gathered people from all over the world. And to me, that is incredible. From all over the world to be Americans, to be a nation. And yet, for some reason, you have divided yourselves. So I think maybe God is trying to teach us how to live together and become one. I better say no more.
No, it's beautiful. We're recording this for anyone tuning in. It's going to be after the fact, but we're recording this. I actually loved when we decided to record today on Election Day in the States. I thought there is no better conversation to have, and the energy imprint of this, I just feel will transcend. And so, you said it before with our guardian angel, the cornerstone is always going to be guiding towards kindness. That's to me what I hear over and over again from you. And, that doesn't take on a religion or a certain viewpoint. That's universal. That's human, that's something we can all choose at any time.
Yes, and I love to smile the way you have said it there. Yes, universal. That's what God and the angels have me doing. So people come from all over the world to the sanctuary here in Ireland. But when I travel to other countries, people of all faiths come. And isn't that incredible? Because God doesn't want boundaries.
Yeah.
And this is such an important time for the world, because of what's happening in America and other parts of the world as well. That's why, again, I will say, don't be lazy, get out and vote, no
Yes.
matter what you think, and ask God to guide your heart.
Yeah.
But we all have to remember we want good for everyone, not just for ourselves. You don't go out and vote just for you. You
Yes.
must go out and vote for others,
Yeah.
not just think of yourself. And that's one thing humanly we find very hard to do. We always think of
Mm.
ourselves. We never think of anyone else.
It's kind of like what you said earlier, and I agree and believe this. Love your neighbor as yourself. So first of all, you've got to have this incredible love of yourself, and it's an and statement, and shine and show that for everyone, those we disagree with. I was setting my altar and saying a prayer this morning and just asked, God to help I live in the States, so this country, whatever is for the highest good. I actually, I'm not sure, I don't have the 360 vision that the divine has. And I just said, please guide us and help us. And may I do my part. May we each do our part, which would be voting, kindness, loving yourself, sharing that with others. What you so beautifully, I feel, you get to see the angels. Maybe in our lifetime, those listening will get to see, some of us will see them. I think I want to go to the sanctuary in a moment, but before that, I do have a question for you. And I do remember you talking a little bit about it. So I believe you talked about actually seeing or having this presence of God itself, not just the angels. And I know it can sound like, wow, we've got so many different beautiful light helpers. Can you share a little bit what that looked like to you, and what does that look like to you versus when you see Archangel Michael, or I'm forgetting all the names. You mentioned so many beautiful names of angels you see. What does it look like for you, for all of us who may not be able to see the divine, to see God? What is that like?
That's really a hard question to answer because no matter what I say, it won't be
Yeah.
good enough in that sense. God has often walked with me. We would talk, but it would be, what would I say? Sit down, along a river, we could be anywhere. And, God would call my name. And how would I say? It's just the presence of God. There's no word for it. It's that love and peace, you know, and and God calls me. I'm sharing it now with the world. I wrote it in the books, but I didn't share this part, and that is God calls me my bird of love. So next time you see a little bit about my bird of love, you will understand more of that question you have asked in that way. And yet sometimes, God had said to me, when I was in God's library, why do I hide from him? I'm always hiding from God because God is so powerful and the love is so overwhelming that in a sense I want to run away. And in a sense I was always saying no, but I always knew I would have to say yes one day. And yet I run to God all the time. I'd be so happy, and happy isn't a big enough word, when I'm in the presence of God. And one thing you always have to remember, everyone is in the presence of God because of your soul, that spark of light of God. And that is something that mankind has forgotten. And in a sense, it was drummed out of you by, which is sad, religion. But yet religion was sparking spirituality, another connection in that way. So you might have something not so good, but yet it's good in another way, so it's like the balance. But yeah, God is always taller than me, how would I say? And sometimes when he holds my hand, like I can't really express that. But I give out to God every time He sends me back to this world. Medically, that has happened a few times, and I give out. But I guess my time is not up yet, so I have to stay in that way. And I think God at the moment is trying to give the world back hope, trying to unite us all together in peace and love, to be kind to each other, but not to judge each other. If we could stop judging. I always remember a man telling me the story of, he was in a war-torn country and his family were slaughtered. And he managed to escape, a teenager. But he said, Lorna, I done the same thing as they did to my family. I picked up a gun and I did the very same thing to other families. And he said it was only when he read Angels in My Hair and he had a wife and children and he's sitting and talking to me and he looking over at his children and he said, Lorna, how can you kill revenge? And if we just think of all the wars today, what's happening, it is revenge. It's anger. It's hate. I'll get back at them. So that's why God is asking you all to love yourself a little bit more. So you can love each other. You can love your neighbor a little bit more and not want revenge, not want to destroy, not to be casting out hate and all of that. Let's cast out the net of love, of compassion, of hope. The gifts we are actually all crying out for. That peace, that unity together.
Amen to that, Lorna. And maybe when you're My Bird of Love, the next book or what you're working on, I just heard, will you come back? I want to talk about My Bird of Love. Well, I was like, wait a minute, my ears perked up. It to me, there's no words to express the way that you experience God. And I bet if we asked each person, obviously the gift that you have of seeing it, some might be able to see, some feel it, sense it. I just love this reminder, though, that, we're all of the same one. We're all of the same one. And that the lesson, in that story and example is forgiveness and stopping the judgment, which of course means with ourselves too, which that's a big one for many of us. Can you share more about the sanctuary? I want you to share because it's, I know, a very beautiful. Well, I'll let you share more about it.
Well, I suppose it is an incredible miracle. It was something that I was shown as a child. And I was there even as a child and a teenager. And again with God, looking out. But the house and everything was different. And I suppose the human part of me, I always think, go away, God, you're only cutting me, or, don't be annoying me, leave me alone. I'm always giving out to God. And yet, He doesn't seem to get annoyed with me giving out to God. He has such patience. And to me, God is always gives a male appearance as well. But I know God is neither in that sense. And I suppose when the sanctuary started to happen, again, I was in a state of shock. And again, strangers from America at the time, they came over to Ireland because of the book Angels in My Hair helped their family. And they wanted here at the farmhouse because they learned more about me, other things that I do to help people. And they wanted to build rooms on and everything like that. But when they applied for planning permission, they didn't get it. It wasn't given. And I was asked, Lorna, are you sure it's Thomastown? This is the area. And I said, yes, this is where God has sent me. And then one day my son sent me a video clip or whatever you call it. And he said, press the button. And of course I got a terrible shock because the first thing on the video I saw were these two pillars and this gate. And that's where Archangel Michael stood, the time when Joe was alive and we were passing by. And Archangel Michael said, "You will live here one day." And it was like as if everything went in slow motion, almost stopped. And again, I thought God was crazy. Archangel Michael, no, we couldn't live in, because Joe was already sick. I could see this tiny roof over the wall. I said, it wouldn't work. And I think my son knew by the expression on my face, I was just so shocked. And then the video continued down this kind of dusty little lane. And of course, when I saw the house, I recognized it because I had been there with God on a few occasions. So I was torn away, and my son listened to his guardian angel, and he just said to me, "Mom, I'm going to send this video to the couple in America." And he sends it to them, and they came back straight away and said, "That's it, we're buying it." I don't have money, by the way. They bought it. And it is other people giving all of the time. And because of other people giving, we have been able to do the sanctuary as God has said. But we're able to help a lot of people as well. And I know, what would you say, the workshops is to help to teach people to connect back spiritually, giving that wisdom and knowledge. And all this I can say, I can't even explain. I'm just still in shock as it is. And I know God had said it would be there for 300 years and more. But that depends on the world as well, because some words that God has taught me and said loads of times, many are called, few are chosen, and very few of those few chosen say yes. And I thank the American couple for saying yes, and all the other people that give, that say yes as well. They're not saying yes to me, they're saying yes to God and the angels. So all that I can say, you find it all on lornabyrne.com, the offense page. That's all I know.
Yes. And we'll make sure to have that also the description, especially both in the show notes, and this will be on YouTube. So we'll have that right up in front. So, and I'm going to tell you, I'm coming. I don't know when, but I saw it. I'm like, I'm going. I've been to Ireland.
Good.
My husband and I went, and I fell in love with the country. He has family from there, and I did not want to leave. We just fell in love with
Wow.
Ireland. So I will be there, Lorna, and anyone
Good,
who's
good.
listening, let's all go. And also, obviously the giving can make a huge difference. I was noticing as you were speaking, I have tears in my eyes. I am so moved, by you, your presence, your connection to love. And to me, not that I'm seeing them like you, but I would invite everyone listening, just tune in. Can't you feel this? I'm asking, like, for anyone listening, I can feel the effects of you calling in, connecting with, living with the angels. And what I love about what you're sharing is this is for every single person on the planet, even though some may see, some may not. It doesn't matter. We just have to say, because we have free will, I am willing, I am open. That's what I'm really getting, is this beautiful, loving guidance and connection. And that's part of what I wanted to share with your story. Although your gifts are very cool and exceptional, we all have this ability. This is for everybody.
Thank you. It was just such a pleasure to be on your show. And I just ask for all of the blessings for all of your listeners that tune in. I ask God to bless everyone and to take care of them and their guardian angels, to help the human being to connect a little better. Not, I wouldn't say the guardian angel to connect better. It's the human being to connect better.
Yes.
So thank you. I love you all.
Lorna, thank you so much. You are such a gift, and perhaps we will be able to have you back to talk about. You said my bird of love. My ears perked up. I'm like, I heard that. We're gonna circle back. I don't know when. And the sanctuary. You've got just thank you for the light and the love that you are pouring into the world. It reverberated for me. It is reverberating around the world, and I know that these words and your wisdom and the angels are part of this. I just can imagine. I'm sure you can see it, but I can imagine everyone tuning in. It's like the angels, like all of us saying we're willing, all of our guardian angels like high-fiving each other.
Yeah,
Like, yay, they're listening. They're listening. So thank you for being, a light leader here. And I'm going to say thank you to you, our beloved listeners. Thank you for being willing and open to listen and connect with your guardian angel, your soul, your spark of light. Because when we do that, as you have said, Lorna, we will be guided. We will be guided in a way to love and kindness and ways that are beyond the small self, the ego. We will be guided. And that is how we shift. And that is how we bring more peace and love. At least that's what I'm hearing you say. So thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Blessings. And thank you. And thank you to each of you for being here and tuning into your sacred, divine, youest you.